Kpoto Gissi do promise that the testimony I've come to give to the TRC is the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Please be seated. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine as well.
Okay. We want to welcome you to the TRC and tell you thanks for taking time off your busy schedule to come and share your experience with us as part of that process of sustaining the peace in Liberia and building grounds for genuine national reconciliation. We appreciate it because we know in our country it's difficult for people to come forward to speak or to talk in public of their personal experiences. But equally we feel that it is the responsibility of all patriotic citizens to support such a process which seeks to foster healing, unity, and reconciliation. That's why we say thanks to you and all others who come to address the commission and make their contribution. So at this time, I want to introduce the commissioners to you. Following that, you will say a little bit about yourself, and then you give your testimony, and commissioners will ask you questions subsequently. Commissioner Sheikh Kafuma Konen, Commissioner Per Brown Bull, Commissioner Dede Dolope, Commissioner Gerald B. Coleman, Commissioner Massa A. Washington, Commissioner Umu Sila, and I am Jerome Voidier. We say welcome. Can you kindly repeat your name? The order of your name seems a little bit.
I am Kpoto
Gissi. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Can you please tell us your age or date of birth?
I am 50 years old. I was born on November 10, 1957.
Okay. Where do you live currently, Mr. Gissi?
I live in Kakata.
Okay. What do you do at the moment on a daily basis as a vocation, occupation, job, whatever?
Well, to exercise something as occupation, no, but I'm trying to learn something to be my occupation for a few years to come. I commute between here and Monrovia to go to school at Louis Adam School of Law.
Oh, okay. But at the moment you say you are an orthopedician?
I'm an accountant by training, but I'm not working.
Okay.
I'm unemployed.
Okay, you are an accountant and a student at the law school?
Sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you. With that, you may kindly proceed.
My story begins from 1991. In May of 1990, the NPFL occupied Kakata. By then, I was residing on my late father's farm. We all left because of the constant harassment and came to live in Kakata. After the war subsided a little and there seemed peace around, Isaac Musa took a tank that I spent money to build. It was built by one Mr. Emmanuel Logan, who is now dead, and the tank has a capacity of 2,500 gallons. So he took the tank and I learned of it. After having had the information, I confronted Logan, Emmanuel, my tank bidder, and accused him of being the one who sold the tank to Isaac Musa. He denied and said to me, to verify what I'm telling you, I will take you to General Isaac Musa so that you will know indeed that I didn't say a thing to him. I said, okay. After 2 days, he took me along to see General Musa. All protocols were observed and we were let in the general's office. After sitting for a few moments, Mr. Logan introduced me as the owner of the tank. Isaac Musa demanded that I should sell the tank to him. And I said to him, Chief, I am not selling the tank. Thereon, he got outraged and started beating me. He first slapped me with a pistol in his hand. I fell and he started kicking me, beat me severely until I urinated in my trouser. From there, I hid myself, walked discreetly from his office and went out. Then, after 2 or 3 minutes, they began asking for me to take me to the hospital. But I was afraid that if they had put me at the back of their car to carry me to the hospital, I would have never reached there. So I hid myself. From there, I left and went home. After the 97 elections, around 98, I saw my tank with the city mayor of Kakata City, Mike Hillary Snow. And when I approached him, he told me he bought it. And today, that tank is in his possession and he's using it. That's the end of my story.
All of those amount to violations of citizens' rights, violation of your human rights. And those are the issues that the TRC is investigating, inquiring into, and documenting how people suffered during the war, how people were deprived of their properties, and how others got enriched or enriched themselves at the disadvantage of others who were deprived. So we tell you thank you for this, and the commissioners will ask you a couple of questions. Can you state, you said in 1990 the NPFL came this way.
That's correct.
The incident, when did it occur? In 1990 or?
1991.
In 1991.
Yes, sir.
And then any particular day you remember?
No, I can't remember that day.
You can't remember the month?
The month, no.
Have you done anything else to retrieve your property, especially so it's now in the possession, it was in the possession of a civilian authority?
I approached Master Manley, who was then city mayor under the Taylor regime, but nothing much was done because I think he was, in my own mind, he regarded the city mayor as an authority.
He regarded the city mayor as
an authority here.
As an authority.
Yeah.
Who did you approach? You said the person was a mayor. I don't think you meant that.
Who did I approach? Did
you say you approached Master Manley?
Yeah, who was then county attorney.
You approached the county attorney.
Yeah, I reported the matter to him.
And he didn't bother.
He called him, and the city mayor baffled him, and that was the time he admitted that the tank was sold to him by Isaac Musa's wife.
Oh, Isaac Musa's wife sold it to him.
Yeah.
You know the name of Isaac Musa's wife? Did he call the name?
No, I don't know the name. He just said Isaac Musa's wife.
Did he display documents, papers to show the transfer of the tank?
No.
Is the tank still in Margibi here?
Yeah, it's still with him. It's been buried in his present gas station in Viton here. Right in this area.
Maxwell Snow has a gas station.
Yeah, right in this Viton.
And he's using the tank.
Yeah.
This Isaac Musa, can you speak of him? What he did, firstly, how can you describe him? You know anything else of him besides being a personality here at the time and the sort of things he did at that time?
Well, I regard him as a younger brother to me, and I've tried in every way to approach him to turn this thing over, but he has not done it so.
I'm saying this, who was Isaac Musa at that time?
Isaac Musa was then the battle group commander of the National Patriotic Front of Liberia, according to what I heard.
As battle group commander, was he somebody in the public that everybody knew him in Margibi?
Yeah, he was somebody well noticed. As he passed by, people pointed a finger to his car. Oh, that is Isaac Musa.
Anything else you know of him besides him taking your tank away?
No.
You didn't hear of any other thing he did, any other person's property he took away, any other person he harassed? You didn't hear of anything like that? You didn't see?
I heard that he harassed people. I heard that he beat people and normally took things from them because they didn't have pass, because he was at the time responsible for giving up pass. And sometimes goods were seized, and he ordered men to seize people's goods. And at that time, it was commonly called weighing. We only used to hear Isaac Musa weigh somebody, and that meant that he took somebody else's goods that he had to go sell in Monroe or elsewhere from him.
Oh, so they used to call him weighing.
Mm-hmm.
So that where the expression came from, they say, I will weigh you.
Yeah.
Because I know it means to take everything from you, charge you, and strip you of everything.
That's it.
Oh, okay. Have you been in the country since 1990?
Yes, sir.
Did you have other experiences and encounters during the conflict?
Yes, sir.
You care to speak about it? 91, 92, 93, 95?
If your time will permit, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a little time. When you're talking too much, we'll cut it off.
The other experience came about when people went on our farm and claiming that they would kill us because our late father had conflict with the late Richie S.S. Bright, and they wanted to exterminate us to take over the property. When I heard it, at first they arrested my younger brother, who was before a justice of the peace. And when the news reached us, some of us left. But what I learned that happened behind me when I left is that some of my brothers were arrested and given good toilet to eat, put it in their mouth. And I myself, when I came in Kakata here, I was arrested and carried at the police station. And it was through God, secondly, the intervention of Twazama, that had me released. Even at that, the guys were still after arresting me. So I had to leave from this town to go to Fulala. After I stayed in Fulala for a while, I came back to Kakata. And at the outbreak of Octopus, I went to Banga and joined the relief organization there called Lush as a field monitor. And we were there catering to displaced and carrying food to conflict areas. And one of those areas were Jamon Camp, the notorious NPFL Marine Base, where I saw people training kids as low as 9 years, 10-year-old. They were training them and calling them small soldiers. There, at one point in time, when we went to distribute food, Melvin Sobani, after the days of Nixon, when he had replaced him, went about raiding civilian food. And I complained to him that it was not fair. So upon that ground, he decided to carry me to Marine Base for treatment. And some of the guys there were saying, we will carry you for Belapin. No, it was there, and then TRC intervened, and upon the intervention of Mr. TRC and Kok Bogolo, I was released, and they left me to go back to Banga. In Banga, we had so many experiences. At the time I lived in Sinye, there was always this shooting around saying that enemies were coming. And whenever enemies came, there was looting and carrying away our property. Sometimes they looted relief food from other warehouses. At one point in time, for the first time in my life, I saw Martina Johnson displaying human heart. And they said they were going to build up in it. But I was not there when they had it cooked. After I saw it in your hand, I ran away. And from that day, I went to live in Banga and never came back to Sinye to live. Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask a question relative to your property and a conflict between you and the late Rabbi I. Bright. And your brothers were treated. I don't see the relationship. Were they the rebels who were treating your brothers?
You see, Bright's farm have been dominated by the Gio and Mano. Maybe they upon themselves wanted to act to please somebody, and so they decided that they would act on their own in that manner. That's how I understood the whole thing.
Okay, Bright Farm was occupied illegally by the fighters.
Yeah.
So you think your brothers went and told them that this is our property, or they knew of the historical problem between the Gissi family and the Bright family over the property?
Yeah, it's a known story in this town, in this country.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows it. And those who were there knew the story. And in fact, for that reason, for the conflict that was had between Bright and my late father, no lumberman was allowed to work on Bright's farm.
I see.
Before.
Okay. I was just wondering, I thought maybe an authority in the NPFL, knowing about that property, directed the fighters at you. But not knowing the fighters were occupying the property and harvesting rubber, and they didn't want anybody to raise a counterclaim. Okay.
In my own thinking, the fighters had relatives on Bright Farm, and they might have been excited by the stories told by their relative, and perhaps wanted to act in a way to please their relatives. Because Bright Farm originally had been predominantly Gio and Mano workers and some Pele, but to the exclusion of Loma people. Loma people were forbidden from working on Bright's farm. So that was an existing law before the war.
Okay, so is that conflict resolved now? Are the Gissi people satisfied that the Bright farm is Bright's property and not theirs, or there's still things outstanding?
Well, Richard Bright and I met, and I think that in my own mind, there should be no point of conflict between he and I personally. But as to whether they are all both still thinking in other manner, I don't know.
Okay, thank you very much. Are your brothers still alive?
Yeah, they are all around.
Okay, thank you very much. Check.
Thank you, Mr. Witness, for coming, and we're sorry for what happened to you. Did you say that you saw Martina Johnson in possession of human heart?
Yeah, Martina Johnson, yeah. In
Where?
Sinye, Bon County.
In Bon County. And You also said that your father and Mr. Bright had line confusion.
Yes, sir.
And you were harassed because of that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Witness,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you for giving us such vital information to help to put the puzzle together and to substantiate other evidence, other testimonies. You've truly helped us with our work, and thanks for participating in the TRC process.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Witness, for sharing with us your story. Your story, like every other story, is a part of the Liberian story. And it is very important if we are going to resolve our past disputes and conflicts and build a new Liberia where we can go beyond managing conflicts, but really living in a state of harmony together as one people. So I would like to ask a couple of questions to you. First of all, could you please give me a little bit detail of the conflict that existed between your father and that of the Bright family? And what was the name of your father versus the name of the original Bright that this conflict started with?
The conflict began in the 50s, where Bright,
Which Bright, please?
Richie S.S. Bright,
Thank you.
Sr., decided that he would take for himself from the 26 Gate Road to the Drew River, in spite of what. He took this case up to the courts. The court ruled in my father's favor, and orders of the court that he leave my father alone was never obeyed. His father went on and seized 200 acres of land from the 800 acres of land my father had. My father could do nothing about it because he had no power to fight. And Bright planted rubber. So in 1986, my father called me and told me, look, son, you need to know the means and bounds of the property I've got. So by that means, I got a surveyor from this town, Wilmer James, who indeed resurveyed and authenticated to me that Bright still occupies 200 acres of that land. So for my father, after he won the case, his lawyer Cooper asked him to file for damages, and he said, if a man fought a woman and the woman threw him down, there's no need for the woman to continue to fight. In that case, he, a poor man, had won somebody big and powerful in court, so he had no reason to fight again. Since he had a little place, he was contented with that, and he left it as such. But perhaps too, my actions of resurveying for proper demarcation might have stirred some scare somewhere else.
So you're saying then, in summary, that Mr. Bright illegally took land from your family, your father. What's your father's name, please?
Bada Gissi.
Private?
Bada Gissi.
Gissi.
G-I-Z-Z-I.
So Mr. Bright took land from Mr. Gissi. Mr. Gissi, how did he own this land? Did he purchase it and had deed everything, or was he a tribal chief or elder? Or?
Bada Gissi originally hailed from Lofa County, as the name depicts. A Loma by tribe, came via White Plains and got minute education from the boys' mission at the time. He migrated from there and came here and befriend people. So this land was sold to him, for which he had title. I think that was the reason or grounds for which he was granted his place.
Okay, so he was granted. Did this reach the regular court, or did it reach Supreme Court, or what?
It reached the trial court, and it went as far as the Supreme Court.
Okay.
But people who they were in the past will now have wished to respect decision of their courts because of their own connections.
Okay, but the fact still remains that that property is your property. So no matter what Mr. Bright's family was doing on it, they're doing work for you all. The question now is, in the course of reconciliation and rebuilding our nation, the TRC needs to get involved in seeing how we can resolve these kind of issues and make the wrongs right. So are you interested, as a member of your family, in letting this be a case that can be looked into to reconcile past unjust issues? Or do you want to follow your father's footstep to say, let it be, and let them continue enjoying what is rightfully yours?
I don't know whether there can be enjoyment in the absence of fair treatment for all, in the absence of accepting you as a Liberian and knowing that your entitlement is yours in spite of what? I don't know whether there can be any enjoyment in that life.
Go ahead.
So for me, I think the best way out is to accept each other as Liberians. I mean, you wrong me. Why can't you just admit that you wrong me? And put forth in your own mind what you think could be done to squash the whole thing off. A wrong is a wrong, no matter what quarter it comes from.
Well, sir, that's what we're saying. We're saying that you have been given ruling by the Supreme Court of this land. So that's a clear reality. How people treated it was aspects of corruption, which was very pertinent in the early parts of our history. It is that very corrupt factor that the whole war came about and led to the destruction of this country. So now, as we are rebuilding, the Reconciliation Commission's main focus is to make right the wrongs that were done. But we need you to be a part of that process if you're interested. Otherwise, we cannot just go after something independently. So are you and your family interested in having this wrong righted?
Right. Yes, we are.
Thank you. That's important.
Indeed.
So we'll take this as a case that will be looked at and dealt with in that manner, because the Act gives us that mandate to look into these issues and make right the wrongs. So thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for coming again. And you struck a very important point when you said the Supreme Court ruled in favor of your family. And then in the meantime, you are baffled as to why when someone is wrong, they can't just say they're wrong and say sorry and let everybody reconcile and be happy. Well, I think unfortunately, you stated earlier that these people had power, they were in influential and powerful position, so they could manipulate and not have the ruling of the court implemented. Unfortunately, again, that's the way of man, and sometimes it is not easy for people who think they walk within the corridors of power to accept even when they're wrong. Unfortunately, this is what our society has been plagued with. And hopefully in this new Liberia, those are some of the issues that we will begin to seriously address as a nation so that we can all move forward as one people. It's one thing to ask people to reconcile, especially people who have been victimized, people who have been hurt, but then it's another thing not to have those who have perpetrated hurts and suffering on the victims to come out and admit that yes, something has gone wrong, please forgive me, let's move on. I just wanted to make that point. Having said that, do you have a family? If I may ask, it's a personal question. You don't have to answer.
I'm single.
Okay, it doesn't matter. You talk about your tank that Isaac Musa took and sold to someone else and is now in the possession of the city mayor. Is it this current city mayor or the city mayor before?
It's the current city mayor.
What is that city mayor's name again?
Mike Hillary Snow.
Mike
Hillary Snow.
Hillary Snow.
Snow.
Slow. Mike Hillary Snow. How you spell the last name? S-L-O-H?
S-N-O-H.
Oh, Mike Hillary Snow. Okay. And you say currently you are unemployed?
Yes, ma'am.
So please tell us, what would it mean for someone like you who is unemployed to have your tank back? What would it mean for you?
I will have the opportunity to lease it to someone else who could use it for me to earn some dollars.
Okay. So you're simply fighting for what is rightly yours so that you can support yourself and live in a dignified manner. Okay. Thank you very much, and we do admire your courage to come forth. Thank you.
Mr. Gissi?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing this experience with us. You said that your father had 800 acres of land. Am I right?
Yes.
And then 200 was taken away by Mr. Bright.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
What happened to the other 600?
The 600 was cultivated and it's still there. One of my brothers is there making king farm. The other area is planted with rubber.
Oh, so you're using it and getting something from it?
Yeah.
Okay. My colleague asked you whether you were interested in coming together to see how best we can reconcile this problem. And what form of reconciliation would you like to see? Is it that maybe you want for them to pay for the 200 acres of land, or what?
Well, to sit here and see what I want, I don't know whether I have the authority to do that. It's subject to reasoning together with the other people who have interest in the family and coming up with a decision as to what we want.
Okay, thank you. But we would like to know at least what you expect after discussion. Thank you. After discussion.
Yeah. We want to thank you, Mr. Gissi, for volunteering to come forward and share all of this valuable information with us. During your testimony, I heard you speak of influential, powerful people, and your father deciding to renege on the issue since he didn't have the power and authority. Was Mr. Bright somebody of power and authority at the time?
Oh, well. I learned he was previously the Secretary of Barclay and
Secretary of
President, the late President Barclay.
Oh, he was Secretary of State.
I don't know, not Secretary of State, but he was
Just Secretary.
He served Barclay.
Okay.
And aside from that, he was all of them almost who were within power at the time were members of the Masonic craft. So there were no small people play around.
Is that all you knew of him?
Yeah, and later on, I heard, in fact, I saw his son, Cyril, who became minister in the late Thomas government. So he was, he was influential.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anything you would like to say lastly before you leave?
Well, all has been well said. I think there's nothing more left.
Okay. Thank you. And you may leave now.
Thank you very much.